Hello, I'm Solaj Alfred. Welcome to the HDS Epoll. It's your opportunity to weigh in on the most pressing issues of the day. Saint Lucia's political landscape has historically been dominated by two major parties, fostering a tradition of a single-party governance. This pattern, while providing stability, has also entrenched partisan divides, often leaving minority voices marginalized. The inherent challenges of coalition governments, such as policy compromises and potential instability, are well documented globally. However, the prospect of broader representation and collaborative governance holds appeal, particularly in addressing complex socio-economic issues. A coalition could, in theory, mitigate the winner-takes-all approach, fostering inclusivity and consensus building. Yet, the island's history lacks precedent for such a power-sharing model, raising concerns about its practical implementation. So, given St. Lucia's unique political history and the potential benefits and drawbacks, we ask the question, would a coalition government truly serve St. Lucia's best interest? We took to the streets to get your opinion, and here's what you had to say.
Pour moi, c'est difficile. Because mania politics là et à présent là, si à quoi dit cerveau c'est mon zaboulé. Cerveau là on boulé ça, c'est pour ça, c'est laïe. Ma quoi qu'il travaille. Pour moi, c'est difficile.
I know it's been used in many countries. Most of them are large because you have a large number of seats. St. Lucia, though small, it can still work not because of a large number of seats, but because for the good of the country. And St. Lucia, for whatever reason, has a lot of intelligent people. However, in terms of politics, we have not gone to the next step because of too much fighting. Now, coalition government can work because you have people with vision on both sides. There are also rotten eggs. So in order for it to work, kind of get rid of some rotten eggs that would try to divide and pull the brainiacs together, and St. Lucia will develop accordingly. So I think in general it can work. Just get the right set of people together from both sides and make it work. I think a few years ago we tried it, but it failed. I remember there was a buzz about that, and but it can work.
I think it's a wonderful idea, but when you consider the quality of people that we have in our island, the character, the demeanor, we just cannot have the candidates or politicians on opposite sides to agree. So a coalition government is a wonderful thing, but the problem, I think, is with the people. Our people are too divisive and too much animosity, too much anger, and therefore I don't think it is going to work for us because of the quality of people that we have.
I am of the opinion that could happen, but I think politicians like to polarize politics too much. Like, for example, Mr. Philip J.P. is doing very well. Now, most people on the opposition side would not want to give him credit for it. Why? St. Lucia is all about St. Lucians. You see what I'm saying? And so if we were to come together and support the government who is doing exceedingly well, then guess what? It takes nothing away from you to say that he's doing extremely well. But guess what? We all want to come together, politicians want to come together and facilitate their own personal needs. And that's what keeps St. Lucia the way it is. So hence my reason for having advocated from a verbal perspective that it may not work.
Well, it peut work, mais les nous garde yo ha try li sa moi yo try la. Then moi ka wè c'est try yo ka try, mais at the end of the day, si nous ni pour faire ça si parti a gain, it's un disaster pour nous. Because ma kwe si yo komen gen yo vin ensemble, il pa work pour pays ya. Because nous tout ni side nous. C'est side nous envie ou faire victory. Either side là nous ya depuis pas fait comment pour join hands together pour yo di ça against it. Si you vin ensemble, you try for my government exa, it's a problem.
It can if it reaches in an area where you find two political entities would have, won their seats out there in a general election, and a government can't be formed by one, and so they would have come together. It can. I could remember St. Kitts and Nevis, but it's an area where politicians have to tread softly and tread cautiously, bringing together two political entities to form a government. Yes, it can happen, but it has to happen with two political entities who are looking, for the same kind of values for the country that they represent.
Yes, I do think it could work because it have worked in other Caribbean countries. And where I say it could work is that if the parliamentary reps put the differences aside and look out for the country, the people, in the best interest of the people, it is possible. But if they are looking for the personal benefits, it won't work. So the only way I say it could work is that they put the differences aside, look out for the country in the country's best interest, and it can work because they have worked other places.
Oh, I doubt, brother, that can work in Saint Lucia. I can remember they had that some long time ago in the time of Odlum, and it didn't work. And before you can get something so to work, you must try and unite yourself. The politicians in Saint Lucia, I can see them mainly for themselves and not so much for the country. So before they can get that to work, they must come together with full respect and a plan to move forward. But other than that, that can never work in Saint Lucia.
Now, to our new discussion. Saint Lucia, like many of its Caribbean neighbors, possesses an economy sensitive to fluctuations in global trade due to its significant reliance on imports. The recent imposition of tariffs by the United States on a wide array of nations, including small island states within the Caribbean, has sparked worry across the entire world. These tariffs could potentially lead to higher costs for essential goods, thus increasing the financial pressures faced by citizens. Important sectors such as tourism and construction, both of which depend on materials sourced from abroad, might also experience adverse effects. Adding to these challenges, major global economies have threatened retaliatory tariffs on the U.S., further escalating the global trade war and causing stock markets to spiral. The government is formulating plans to minimize any detrimental economic consequences. So we ask, can Saint Lucia and the wider Caribbean weather the tariff trade war? Remember, our Epoll team is always on the go to get your responses as well. Watch the HTS News Force from 7 p.m. for the results and a new discussion.